everybody, welcome back to another video. I actually don't know how to introduce this one because I don't want it to be a serious video, and honestly the last video I posted was really high energy. There was a lot of shouting. Honestly, my throat is like still sore from shouting so much last time. I'm not a very shouty person. I used to shout a lot when I was looking after kids, and honestly it just like as soon as I start my voice starts going now. So I want this to be a relaxed video, but at the same time I want to treat this with some importance, but then again not too much importance because, you know, life's too short. But I thought that I would talk about something that I didn't really know of many people related to. I'd asked last week on Twitter, has anyone ever wished, like from the ex-Muslim community, or just generally, has anyone ever wished that they were a boy when they were younger? Because I certainly did, and I found that some other people did too. So I think I'm going to start with reading some of their comments, and then I will, you know, give feedback to you guys, like, why I want to talk about this. So Nick, or Heretical Grey on Twitter, had said, never. I've always thought women to be more powerful. I mean, props to you. I was not that strong growing up. Hope Springs 100 said, every single day, life would have been so much better. A religion shouldn't be this determined to make lives crappier for someone just because they are female. Art_Samith, she's a great artist by the way, so you should definitely check out her work, said no thanks. As in, she never wanted to be a boy. At OmemaM_94 said, yep, even though my brothers had a tough time with fundamentalism too, the fact that they were trusted to travel on their own, marry whoever they wanted, and only observed minimal modesty made me so jealous sometimes. At Princess Cinderella said, yep, used to think life would be easier if I was a boy. At InSukianteliu said, there was a point in my life when I used to think, why was I born a female? Guys used to get to do whatever they like, but as I became self-aware and realized how beautiful a woman can be, she is a real creator. I'm proud of being a strong female. That's a fairly good answer. Well done. At Scrappy Newt 1 said, I sure did. I would even dress up as a boy when I was younger because I didn't want to be female anymore. At Original_Aisha said, yes, especially in my early years when most of my freedoms I had as a kid were taken away. All I wanted was to dress up as a boy and still do the things I like. At Blah43821422 said, I hated being a girl ever since I had my period, and I wish I was a boy when I wanted to study abroad but couldn't because I needed a mahram. A mahram is someone like someone you're related to, a man you're related to, like your father, son, brother, or your husband, who you aren't related to but you become a mahram to. Cousins, for example, who are related to you are not your mahrams. And there's like very specific laws about mahrams, but it's basically that you need a male guardian to come with you if you travel to a different country, because women aren't capable of protecting themselves according to Islam. At Zach A. Al-Reyes, who is not a woman, who's a man, I'm pretty sure, said, I wonder where I'd be if I'd been born female. Dead, quite possibly. He's an ex-Muslim, so I think that was his like context for saying that. Now, while there is a mix of opinions, I do feel like that there is a popular opinion that many women who are either from my community, from like the South Asian community, or from the Muslim community have this weird feeling that they weren't supposed to be born female. And I always felt that way. I always felt that way when I was younger. I remember I'm the oldest child in my extended family on my father's side, and also in my nuclear family, so with just my parents and my siblings. I'm the oldest child. I'm the firstborn. And I remember when my brother was born, he was born 2.5 years after I was, but like when he was really young, when he was a baby, I remember being really angry one day, and I can't remember why. I think he had gotten something for his birthday and I was really upset, and my dad came up to me and he said, are you jealous of your brother? And I think he meant it sarcastically, and I remember answering him saying that yes, of course I'm jealous, because I never got that treatment. I never got, you know, celebrated, passed around. I never got any birthday presents. I was just treated like the girl. I mean at the time I was probably like 4, 5, 6 years old, but I remember that so distinctly. Like I was left out of things that my brother was allowed to be included in. Not when he was a baby, but you know, onwards. Like I wasn't allowed to hang around with my uncles who are mahrams, but I wasn't allowed to hang around with them. And I grew up in my grandma's house. I had 4 uncles who lived in the same house as us, and I wasn't allowed to hang around with them. And the reason was that you're a girl and it's not appropriate for you to hang around with them. And they would play video games and they would watch WWF or WWE, whatever you want to call it. They would watch that stuff, and I was like, I want to watch that stuff. They would watch all these cool like movies like The Matrix and X-Men, and I wasn't allowed to watch any of that stuff because that wasn't for me. I was a girl. So from when I was really little, I always felt like, why am I a girl? Why am I a girl? I don't want to be a girl. I want to be a boy so I can do all the things that I like doing. And obviously when I was a little girl, I grew up in a very conservative family, even before they became very Islamic, even before they became very radicalized. My family was a very cultural family. My my whole family were first generation British people, so they had immigrated to Britain, and some of them had grown up there. As far as I'm aware, only my youngest uncle was born. I'm not actually even sure if he was born in the UK, but as far as I'm aware, most of them were not born in the UK, so they were a very traditional Bengali, Bangladeshi family, Indian, South Asian family, whatever you want to call it, right? So I was, even if I wasn't like a practicing Muslim, or nor was I from a practicing Muslim family back then, there was still those rigid, like, you can only do these things kind of mentality. And that continued up until I was like 11, before my family became quite religious. You know, my brother could wear whatever the hell he wanted, whatever t-shirts, whatever trousers. I mean, he wasn't really into the whole girly thing, so he didn't, like, require to get dresses or whatever. He wasn't like into that stuff, so whatever he chose to wear he could wear, but I had to wear my traditional clothes. I had to wear my shalwar kameez and my unna, my dupatta and whatever, and he could wear whatever he wanted that, you know, he liked. He could just pick it out and wear it. If I wanted like a girly toy, if I wanted a doll, or if I wanted a teddy bear, or if I wanted a pony, and this was more towards the time where my family had become more Islamic, I wasn't allowed to have it because it had a face, and faces, for those of you who don't know, things that are created in the shape of something living, so like animals or people, like photographs, or dolls of any kind, unless you're like really young, is not allowed for you, because it prevents the angels of mercy from coming into your home if you have something that's been man-made but resembles a created thing, a thing with a soul or whatever. But yeah, I was never allowed any of those things, and anytime my brother wanted anything, like a boy toy, like, not like that, but like a male-themed toy, like guns or cars or a racetrack, or like anything he wanted, he would get it, you know? He went to a better school than me. I went to a super Islamic school where the education was terrible. My brother went to an Islamic school that was way, way better than mine, and they had a girls' school, and I didn't go to that one. He went to that one. He had a way better education than I did. He has international qualifications, and I still passed most of my subjects. I failed, well, I didn't even fail. I had a bad pass in one of them. I still got like A star to D, but you know, by the skin of my teeth, I made that. Whereas my brother had such a better, like, chance of education. He kind of fucked it, but he still had a better chance at education that I was not given. You know, my brother had the opportunity to go to university. I did not have that opportunity. I was just expected to get married, have kids, and that was going to be my life. And there were a number of factors in that. There was the cultural factor that started it off, and then there was the Islamic factor, which, you know, I'm not Muslim anymore, but my family was and is. And I remember when I was younger, one of my aunts used to watch Neighbours, which is like an Australian show that was shown in the UK. It was a really weird show. I didn't like it, but I remember she used to watch it. And when I was really young, I was staying at her house, and she was watching this show, and she was talking about one of the characters, and she was like, "Oh, that character's really weird." And I was like, "Why is she really weird?" And she was like, "Oh, she's a transgender person." And it was the first time I'd ever heard of that term. It was the first time I'd ever heard of a transgender person. And she was like talking about how weird it was. And now, mind you, my aunt that I'm talking about right now, she's like coming into her 70s. She's a really old lady. So like, cut her some slack. She's from a generation of people that aren't the most like diverse and accepting. But I mean, she's a wonderful person, generally speaking. She was talking about this, and she was saying that this is a woman who feels like she's a man trapped in a woman's body. Like, she doesn't want to be a woman, she wants to be a boy. And I was like, I remember hearing that and thinking, she's like me, because I don't want to be a girl, I want to be a boy. I want to do everything that boys can do. Little did I know that we can do everything that boys can do, you know, without changing our gender. But it was something completely new to me, because as a kid, I was never allowed to do anything that boys did. I wasn't allowed to just like Pokemon, because it was considered like a boyish thing. Even though I still like bought Cheetos and collected all the little cards, or the little, I've forgotten what they're called. They were like little Pokemon discs. I loved Pokemon as a kid. It was like my favorite show. I used to wake up so early. I memorized all the channel numbers. Like, I loved that show. And I was always like ripped on by my mom. She would always be like, "That's a boys show, you shouldn't be watching that, there's fighting in it." And that was like her definition of a boys show, is like if it had fighting in it. And then like I also wasn't allowed to watch, like, especially when my family became more Islamic, I wasn't allowed to watch any of the girly shows, because they never dressed appropriately. They would wear skirts, and they would wear tight jeans, and it would be too much for them. So, you know, I was at a loss here. I wasn't allowed to be a girl at all. Like, I wasn't allowed to be a little girl. And I always felt like I should have been a boy. And as I grew up, I got really into history. History is like one of my favorite subjects ever. And I would like hear all these stories, and I think that's why I was initially attracted by Islam, because when I was really young, I used to love like ancient war movies. Like, I've seen, I think, all of them. I had a list that I wanted to cover. I've seen Braveheart. Braveheart is like one of my favorite movies. I've seen Kingdom of Heaven, amazing movie. It's the only movie where Orlando Bloom, to me, actually resembles a manly person, a manly man. You know, all the movies I watched when I was a kid and into adulthood, I always related to like that gruff alcoholic, like that really broody guy. Like, Wolverine is like my hero. Like, he's my role model. I want to be Wolverine. So I always felt like I should be a boy. I like, why am I even a girl? Like, why did you do this to me? You know? And it was an alien thought to me to think that I could be a girl and also like these things, because I was always made to feel weird. I was always made to feel weird. Like, when I talked about X-Men is one of the biggest fandoms that I've had since I was a kid. I've always liked X-Men. And Wolverine, he will always be near and dear to my heart, even though Logan died a few years ago. Like, I literally mourned when Logan died, but I'm getting away from the point. Wolverine is my favorite superhero. He is my role model in life. I want to be everything that he is. Not only is he the most human character in existence to ever have been created, he is like the most coolest superhero. Like, I'm just losing it right now. I've lost the plot. What is this video even about? But I always wanted to be him, and I would always, like, through my MSN phase where I would use the internet and talk to people, I always wanted my profile picture to be like a female version of Wolverine. But of course, I couldn't find that because Wolverine is like the manliest man in existence. So I had to find like comic book pictures of X-23, I think that's her name, and like use that, or like post a picture of Storm because she was my favorite like heroine in the X-Men. And I would talk about it with my friends, and they would be like, "Why are you into these things?" I went to a girls' school. I went to an Islamic girls' school where I was also made to feel really weird. I liked comic books, and I liked X-Men, and I liked anime, and I liked video games, and I was just so out of place. And it was such a small. I was also really into like the punk goth thing as like a little girl, as like an 11-year-old girl, and I was always made to feel weird. There was also a very small focus group of year 7s. There was only like 12 of us in a whole year group, and everyone else was a girly girl. Like, they all liked One Direction, and later on down the line, 5 Seconds of Summer, I think that's what the stupid name is. But all these like boy bands that were around at the time, they would always like swoon over Zayn Malik because he was the only Pakistani boy or brown person in a band ever. In like an English band in recent memory. I don't know, I don't want to offend anybody. But like, I remember that, and then I also did textiles as a GCSE or as a course. And I would, like, the magazines, obviously I didn't have any at home because my parents were fucking insane, but the magazines that they had at school that we could like cut pictures out and create storyboards so that we could create clothes. I would always pick like the, not specifically racy, but the really like punky, like the ripped jeans and the mesh tops and all of that. Like, I was really into that at the time, and I still kind of am, but you know, whatever, we're getting past that. Like, really like heavy boots and like dark colors. I was really into that, and I would create storyboards like that, and mine would always contrast to all of my peers, and I would always be like, am I fucking weird? Like, I don't understand what is going on. I was also really good at drawing for my age. I mean, I'm better now. I was good then as well. I would, like, people would ask me to do their work for them because I just could not draw, but I was really good at drawing. And somebody had once told me that you are so totally a lesbian, like, there's no way you're not a lesbian. And I was like, I'm just good at drawing. And they were like, yeah, but like the way you draw a woman's body, you're a lesbian. And I was always made to feel really weird, like and I mean, I didn't want to focus this on Islam because obviously Islam limits you in so many ways. I wasn't allowed to dress how I wanted. I wasn't allowed, like, even in my own house, I wasn't allowed to dress how I wanted. My mum hated jeans. My mum hated any kind of, like, tight clothing. She thought that I should just be in loose clothing my entire life. Just, like, put it in a bag. That's it. That's your life. I wasn't allowed to choose anything that I wanted to wear. I had to cook. I had to clean. Like, one of my mum's popular chores for me was to peel onions for her because she hated doing it. And I would peel all her onions for her for cooking because she cooked, like, 5-6 different dishes a day. And it was never a pressure on my brothers. Like, my younger brothers are very young, so, like, that's irrelevant. But, like, my brother, who was only 2.5 years younger than me, he was never made to do any of it. He was never made to clean his room. He was never made to do any of the cooking. He wasn't made to help around the house at all. Like, there would be whole days where he would just be in his room. That was it. That was his whole life. And I just felt like, what the fuck, you know? What the fuck? Why am I doing all this work? I go to school, I do all my work for school, and then I do all this work at home. And even, like, when it came to, like, playing with my other siblings, I have 5 siblings. Me and my brother are the oldest of them, and I would always have the responsibility of them. Anytime something fucked up, it was my fault. If somebody broke something, why weren't you watching them? Like, it was never on him to do anything. And also, my brother was a fucking idiot, so he was a fucking idiot. He was the worst liar, and he would try to get away with things, and I would just be sitting there, like, holding my head, like, what are you doing? Like, I was a normal kid. I used to lie to my parents, okay? I'm not gonna try and hide that. I would lie to my parents if I was, like, going to the library, and I needed to make an excuse, because I wasn't even allowed to go to the library on my own. My brother could stay out for as long as he wanted. Like, 8 o'clock was, like, I think the latest he came back, and I had to be home as soon as school was over. Like, 4 o'clock, after school, I had to be home by 5. It took an hour. If I was later than 5, that was it. I was gonna be yelled at. Like, there was such a pressure on me to be just this subservient person that I wasn't. I had to be into things that I didn't want to be into. Additionally, I always thought it was really unfair that boys in Islam could marry Jews and Christians, because we live in the UK, okay? I like me some white people, okay? I'm very, like, I don't like brown people. Not that I don't like brown people. I'm not attracted to brown men. So it just, like, it was so unfair to me. Like, I can't, there's no way that I would be allowed to marry, like, a cool Christian dude who just, like, it wouldn't be possible. I would have to find a brown guy who looked appealing to me, which would never happen because I'm not attracted to brown men. But it just became so much. Like, towards the end of it, I just wanted to fuck it all. Like, I don't want any of this. And I'm definitely not transgender. Like, I don't have a thing. I'm so glad that I'm a woman. And, you know, I have all my liberties, and I can absolutely love X-Men, and I can absolutely love video games, and I can absolutely love comic books without feeling like I'm weird, because I now know that is allowed. But when I was younger, I was just made to feel like I was a complete weirdo for liking all these things. And, you know, I would see all these, like, different heroines in different movies, and I would be like, yeah, I want to be like them, but then I relate to this other character way, way, way more, and he's a dude. Like, I can never be that. I can never be the gruff guy who's just brooding all the time, because that's a manly thing to do. That's a manly thing to do. Girls are supposed to be uplifting and, like, powerful, and, like, I don't know. I don't even know what this video is anymore. Like, I came in thinking that this was such a clear, serious subject, but I'm realizing it's just a joke, because it's like this rug was pulled under me as soon as I left my family, I think, because I realized that I could just do whatever the fuck I wanted, that I was just a human being who liked different things, and it was bizarre for me to think otherwise, for me to think that I was strange for liking these, quite frankly, arbitrary things, like, they're just normal things for people to like, and I was always made to feel weird about. Obviously, I had all these other restrictions, like I had all these household chores. There was no expectation for me except to just get married and be barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen. But, I mean, I've more or less covered that. I've talked about arranged marriage. I've talked about, you know, hijab and stuff like that. You guys know that. You guys know that part. But it's the more the weird things that happened with me. Like, the thoughts of a child being like, I think I'm transgender because I feel like I should be a boy. You know? But it's not, like, I don't have gender dysphoria. I don't want to change my gender. It was just, I felt so awkward that I wasn't into all the other girly stuff that other girls in my class and in my family were into. Like, even one of my cousins who I used to hang around with a lot, she was, like, really good at cooking and really good at sewing and really good at everything. And after a while, I just realized she's just older than me. That's it. That's it. She's just going through the same cycle. She kind of likes the same things I do. It's just, she's just older, and she's just, you know, become this way. And I don't know. I always felt really weird because I liked all these things. And I guess I'm making this because it just won't leave my thoughts until I make this. I'm making this because if you feel like this, please don't. Because it's such a weird way to feel. Like, you don't belong in yourself, you know? That you should be something else, but you have no control. It's completely normal. It is completely normal. And I always felt like a weirdo for, you know, liking different things. Like liking Lord of the Rings, when I should have been liking fucking Devil Wears Prada. I don't know. I don't watch rom-coms. It's such a waste of time. Unless I'm watching them with someone I like, then it's not a waste of time. But, like, I don't know. I've always been made to feel weird because I like stereotypically boyish things. And if you feel like that, if you genuinely feel like that, please don't. And if you are, like, being kept in a box by your family and saying that you should be more girly, you should do more chores around the house, you should do this and you should do that, please don't take it to heart. People are old. People are old, they have their old mentality. Even if they live in the 21st century in 2019 and they're saying these things, it's because of an old mentality, and it's because of an old 7th century religion sometimes. Don't take it to heart, you know, you can't blame sheep for being sheep. The thing that liberated me was just leaving all of that behind, honestly, and just saying, fuck it, I'm just gonna live my life however I want to live it. Just gonna be into the things I'm into. Yeah, I don't know. I just remember from the moment I said that I was jealous of my brother, from as a little kid, as like a 4 or 5 year old kid, I've always felt like, up until I left my home, I always felt like I should have been born a boy. God made a mistake. I should have been born a boy. Why am I a girl? Like, I've always felt like that. And just leaving that, just letting all of that go is so, like, I have so much room in my brain now for other things. I've just thrown it in, like, even the fact that I'm talking about it so nonchalantly, like, I'm pretty serious with other stuff when it comes to religion and culture and family, but this, it's like, it's such a silly thought. It's such a silly thought. It's just in the bin now. Like, I can't not lightheartedly talk about it, you know? It's the only way, because it's such a silly thing to say that, for example, X-Men is only for boys, you know? It's not. Anybody can like it, and if you ever feel this way about arbitrary things, or somebody makes you feel this way, or, you know, you're in a bubble where you're made to feel this way, please don't. Please just let it go. If people are saying this to you and they're of an age, they're old people. They're old, bitter people. That's all they are. And if you go to an Islamic girls' school, please beg your parents to leave, because it's a terrible idea. But also, if you're made to feel like you're an outlier because you're better at drawing than them, or you like different things to them, fine, just go on the internet, find some better friends. That's what I did. I found a group of like-minded people on the internet, and I would just spend all my time on the internet at school. That was it. Never ever feel uncomfortable for being yourself. Never ever feel uncomfortable for being yourself. You owe it to yourself to be true to yourself. I've always said this. I know I seem like unreasonably happy, but honestly, I've just gotten back into work. I've started a diet. My throat hurts. Like, give me a break. Thank you for watching this video. I know it wasn't super intense. I know you guys like the angry ranty videos, but honestly, like, I'm just I'm happy. At least today, I'm happy. I have no, like, I have nothing weighing down on me right now. And I do have some more heavy, like, I want to make some videos on mental health issues. Like, I have a lot of issues. But I want to make some videos about that, and those are going to be really intense. So I'm just enjoying, like, this silly video, partially kind of silly video, before I have to make those. I really want to make some videos about different triggers I have, things that trigger my mental health, and I'm going to be crying in those, so I know those are going to get... It's gonna get views. I was telling my friend before I started, I was telling Alicia before I started filming this video, like, people like seeing me angry or crying. Like, those are the videos that get views. This probably will get like 50, and then that'll be it for today. But the other videos, they get views so quickly. I'm like, I can't be this angry all the time. I can't. It's impossible. I would be a horrible person if I was this angry all the time. So I'm just living my life. Made a silly video, and I feel like I was just rambling for more of it, most of it. But thank you for watching, if you did. If you got to this point, you are a real one. Like, you're a true fan if you made it to this point. I love you. Take care of yourself. Be yourselves, please. You owe it to yourself to be yourself. You get one life. Make the best of it. See you in the next one.